Good morning, beloved. I hope that this finds each of you doing well this Friday. Today, I want to do a continuation of our discussion surrounding race. And I want to talk specifically today about my own journey with race education. Something that I have been very personally passionate about over the past few years has been racial justice. A word I've usually used instead of justice has been reconciliation. It was recently pointed out to me by my sister that reconciliation can have some difficult connotations, that there's an assumption that it was once right, that there was once a rightness of relationship that was there, and there never has been. There have always been racial divides and issues that have gone out throughout time and history, right? We read about it even in our own scriptures of the difference between the Hebrew peoples and the Egyptians. So I tend to think of reconciliation more from the biblical standpoint of in Eden, when everything was perfect and everything was in right relationship. After the fall, this is where the injustice comes, when sin enters the world. And that we are constantly and continually having to be reconciled to God and to each other because we do not yet have that rightness of relationship, that shalom that we have been promised. So I'm changing up my vocabulary now to be more self-conscious of our brothers and sisters of color right now. My education journey began 2 years ago while attending a conference called Evolving Faith. There were a multitude of people of color who were speaking at this conference, and there were two questions that they posed that really and truly struck a chord within me. The first question that was asked was, how many authors of color do you have on your bookshelves and that you are reading regularly? Heavy question. Even whenever I went back to my office, there were only a handful. And even then, that handful, those people of color, required readings from seminary. Yes, it spans from nonfiction to fiction. There's a severe lacking of people of color filling my bookshelves. Second one was, who are you following on social media? Social media has become such a significant platform for so many of us in which we share news with each other. Yes, we share our personal lives, but there's a vast array of things in which we also are sharing. And there are people of color who use their social media platforms as a tool and means of educating white people. Now, I will say that with educating white people, there are things that have to be kept in mind. First and foremost, it is a recognition that this is someone else's platform. Oftentimes, they have already done a lot of significant work. They have already provided you with tools and resources and everything else. So I think one of the hardest things to do whenever you are following these kinds of people on social media is to recognize as a white person, you are there to show up and shut up, which is really hard for a lot of us because we want to be educated. However, what I keep hearing from Black brothers and sisters right now, as this is an area in which we are really seeing some severe brokenness between the white and Black communities. They are tired of having to educate white people. They are tired of all of our questions, asking for more information. But even then, they're tired of questions or even statements in which white people are trying to justify themselves. And I think that this is really the hard part of being part of race talks and race conversations, is the fact that we do have to shut up. We really don't get to sit and defend ourselves in these situations. This is not a conversation in which you are setting out to prove how good of an ally you are, prove what you have fought for. No, more than anything, it's maybe more of a one-sided conversation. Maybe a better way to think about it would be, while we are being educated by people of color who have felt so deeply convicted to educate white people, that our response is to go have conversations with fellow white people as well. That it isn't about us going back to them, going back to our brothers and sisters of color, but soaking in what they say and applying it in our own lives, in our own conversations that we're having on a regular and on a daily basis. I do want to share a couple of people of color who I follow specifically on Instagram. I'm not sure if they're on Facebook. I know they're definitely on Twitter. It's women and people who have really forced me to look so deeply. They have made me deeply uncomfortable. And for me, as much as I dislike feeling that discomfort, as much as I dislike having to go deeply and dig deeply within to confront my own shame and participation in these systems, at the same time, my 10 minutes of discomfort is absolutely nothing compared to the day in and day out discomfort that these beloved children of God are experiencing 24/7. So, people who, if you are looking to educators on social media, again, more specifically Instagram and Twitter, I would highly recommend Caitlin Curtis. She is a Native American woman, and she's navigating the intersection of her Christianity and her Native American heritage. Another fantastic person to follow who is ridiculously hard and really will make you search yourself is a woman named Rachel Cargill. Rachel's a big name out there. She uses her platform in astounding ways. And I spent the month of February, Black History Month, doing all these things that she set forth. She has an array of educational tools and resources that she's already pulled together. It's incredible. I hope that you look her up. The third one is called The Conscious Kid. This is an organization that seeks to shed light in a vast multitude of ways, from how do you parent? How do you bring up children in a way in which they are already being grown and ingrained in recognizing that racism is wrong? What are the books? Who are the people who we tend to love so deeply but have a history of racism? And then finally, I hope that you will take time to research beyond these people and these platforms. There are so many people out there who are seeking to educate white people because they want us to have these conversations. They want us to be different because they love us that much. How are we showing them love in return? So I hope that you will join in on your own educational journey during this time, that you will consider who are the people of color who are sitting on your bookshelves, who you are following on social media and more, and how are we going to start having conversations together as a family. So I hope that this leaves you with a lot to think about and to contemplate. So I say goodbye to you from myself and my cat Beth here today. Take care, family.